This is the time of the year, like the election season, when homeschoolers begin to say to me, Tim, why is THSC involved in politics? All I want to do is teach my kids and invest in their lives and help my kids grow up as a well-educated, well-rounded citizen. And that's when I launch into my story that almost 40 years ago, when the modern homeschool movement began in Texas, that's what we all wanted to do, and yet we were prosecuted. Families were prosecuted simply for wanting to teach their kids at home. An attorney general of Texas said he didn't believe parents were qualified to raise their kids, much less teach them at home. It became clear to me and all the homeschoolers in the 1980s that if we wanted to be able to teach our kids at home free from regulation, that we had to be involved in the election process and elect officials who would defend us, who would be advocates for the fundamental God-given right of parents to raise their kids at home. And so for almost 35 years, the Texas Homeschool Coalition has been involved in that process. And in the part of that time, we have moved just from homeschooling to now focusing on the bigger issue of parental rights. And when legislators and officials say, Tim, why are y'all focused on CPS and all these other things? We say because if we lose the God-given right we have as parents to make decisions for our children, we will lose our right to homeschool. So last week, Governor Abbott made a huge announcement that he wanted a Parents' Bill of Rights. He was going to be a champion for parents to protect their right to make decisions for their children. That was a shock to us because since 2017, we have been reaching out to Governor Abbott saying, would you help us on these parental rights issues? In fact, one piece of legislation that he's recommending, we've tried to get him to buy into and to help us with in the 2017 session, the 2019 session, and the 2021 legislative session. In all three of those, Governor Abbott's staff said, you know what, thank you for informing us. We'll get back to you. I'm sorry, we can't tell you what his position is. So the legislation he's now saying we should do, we've been trying to get him to support since 2017. So you can imagine when we heard that, we said, is Governor Abbott going to help focus on the fundamental the right of parents to make decisions for their kids? It color us skeptical. And that's because he has not in the past. We passed in the 2021 session the most significant parental rights CPS reform legislation in the history of the state of Texas to defend innocent families and children and parents. Governor Abbott was not involved in that. Governor Abbott didn't even sign that legislation. He let it become law without his signature. So, needless to say, we are skeptical about Governor Abbott being a champion for parents' rights. Now, let me make clear, we'll work with anyone who is serious about changing the law to protect families and parents and innocent children. And we demonstrated that in the 2021 session when we passed bipartisan CPS reform legislation to protect children and families and parents. And we will do that in the future if Governor Abbott is really serious about this. Is Governor Abbott going to be a champion of parents' rights? We'll see.